Hello, ghoul friends. It's me, Adrian, or Ayden. Either way, I'm still your host, and you're still listening to Susto. No, I'm just kidding. Imagine, hey, ghoul friends, it's me, Adrian, or Ayden. Either way, I'm still your host, and you are still listening to Susto, the podcast of paranormal folklore from Latin American cultures. I was trying, I don't know why, I felt the urge to do normal SpongeBob. Do y'all remember that? Anybody get that reference? That was weird. It did not feel right at all. Anyway, hello, it's good to see you. Welcome back. Thank you for joining me once again. And if this is your first time, welcome. Ghoul friends, fun update. So if you've been watching the vlogs on YouTube, you already know pretty much all of this. But I got a tattoo. I got my birthday tattoo, which is right here if you are watching, if you are a best ghoul friend on Patreon, and the YouTube videos are actually available free of ads on Patreon as well. But anyway, showing it here, my tattoo of this sword, which is, I have it right here too, the sword on the cover of this book that I'm constantly talking about. Can I get it in frame? Stories That Must Not Die. So you can see that right here. I'm holding it up as well. But I also do a side-by-side in the YouTube vlog as well. So very excited. It's healing well. The artist Neto Velasco, which I said his name wrong in the vlog like an idiot, but he's an amazing artist. He has a very specific style that I think he like coined the phrase for this. He came up with this. It's bubblegum traditional and it looks really cool. So this is not in his style, but I really like his artwork and I wanted to get something by him regardless. So this is kind of like, I'll do this first with him and I really want to go back for something else with him. But let me at least let this one heal all the way first before I go and get something else, right? Anyway, I talk more about him in, again, the YouTube vlog. So please go ahead and check that out because it was a lot of fun and he's really cool, and make sure to go follow him. There's links to his stuff in the description of that video as well. But either way, go watch the video, like it, subscribe to the channel, turn the bell on, comment on the video, all that good stuff. Moving on to upcoming events, I've been talking about the spooky season and how we get really busy with live events this time of year, which I'm so excited for. And so right now I have 3 events on the books so far. I think it's the 10th, the 11th, and the 31st. And that would be doing a talk and a movie night at Haunt Happy Books in Lockhart, which is one of my favorite bookstores in the world. If you haven't had the chance to go, it is a horror book shop. It's so fun. And then I also have the Austin Public Library Campfire Stories, and then the Night Owl podcast Spirit Social on Halloween night. I haven't posted the flyer or the graphics with my kind of little tour dates, if you will, for spooky season, but I will be posting that very soon. Again, if you are an event organizer or if you know an event organizer, please reach out to me, put me in contact with these people for an event that you think I would be good for. I'm open to all kinds of bookings, whether it is live storytellings, lectures, talks, podcasting workshops. Hit me up. Hey, if you've got a time slot for me, I will find something to do. Okay, so very excited for spooky season and all of those bookings coming up. Speaking of books and bookings, the Susto Spellbook Club it's still in full swing. We're meeting at the end of this month on August 31st, which is Sunday at 1 p.m. Central Time, to discuss The Witches of El Paso by Luis Jaramillo. You have about a week and a half from today, which is Thursday, to finish the book, but you can do it. I believe in you. I am not done with it. And I remember at the beginning of the month thinking, oh, this book is shorter than what we read last month. I'll finish it really quick. No, I haven't finished it really quick. So listen, we can do it. We have a week and a half. It's like 200 something pages, I believe. So we got this. We can do it. And I am enjoying it. I'm just like, you know how I am. I'm doing 1,000 things at once. So please, you still have time to join us for the discussion. I will be sharing the Zoom link closer to the date like I did for the last one. And remember, the book club is public and it's free for everyone to join, but patrons do get to choose the book that we are reading, and they have access to the book club Discord channel. So it's not necessary. You don't have to sign up for anything or pay for anything. You can if you want to, but again, to participate in the book club, in the discussion, totally not necessary. That meeting is free to the public, to anyone to join. Even if you didn't finish reading the book. We had folks last time who didn't finish reading the book, but didn't mind the spoilers. They were into it. They were like, yeah, sure, I'll still read it, or I want to know what happens before I get there. Some people are into that. Me, I am like a zero spoilers, please kind of person. I don't even want to know if it was good or bad. I just want to go into it completely unaware. So, hey, to each their own. I'm very happy to the folks that showed up last time and participated in the discussion. It was so great. And I'm very excited for this next one. Again, August 31st, that's Sunday at 1 p.m. Central. Before we get into today's episode, I actually want to respond to some Spotify comments because I do respond on the app as well. So if you didn't know this, you can comment on episodes on Spotify. And so I've had people leave comments before and I usually respond on there, but I thought, let me go ahead and bring these to the episode too. So in case people aren't looking there, they can hear about them. And please, you can leave pretty much anything in the comments. You can leave feedback, which someone has left feedback about the volume of the show compared to the ads, and I tried to fix it. So if you have feedback about that or anything else, please let me know. I welcome it because I want to grow as a creator, and I am very grateful for that kind of feedback. But it doesn't have to just be that. It could also be a question, a compliment, or pretty much anything. But I wanted to read over some comments that we got recently. So this is from Lauren, and Lauren said, I found this podcast from TikTok and I'm so happy that I did. Lauren, I'm so happy that you found it as well. They say there isn't a transcript, so I couldn't find it. But what is the book called mentioned towards the end that, quote, needed to be dominated? I'm very intrigued, not to own LOL, but for research. So Lauren left this comment on the episode, which is the interview with Alexis and Eric from City Alchemist. And the book that Lauren was talking about was the Book of Saint Cyprian. And I have a link here that I wanted to read about it. This is from archive.org on the Book of Saint Cyprian. It says, this book is a massive occult work, complete with images from original texts, copious amounts of notes and references, citations, and, best of all, information that has only been available in the original Portuguese text. So this book is translated from Portuguese to English. The author was granted unprecedented access to private collections and studied the original texts in great detail. He has taken everything he could from them and compiled what we believe to be the single greatest reference on the subject of the magic of Saint Cyprian. So if you haven't heard that episode, I will, of course, link it in this episode's notes so that you can go check it out or you can go look for it. Again, that is the interview that I did with Alexis and Eric from City Alchemist, which was a great interview. And yeah, that book, I have a story that I told about trying to purchase that book that you can hear in that episode. The next comment that I have here is from Simba173, and they left this on the episode about the Darien Gap. They said, this was a great episode. Thank you. With everything going on, this episode was needed. It's unfortunate that the people who need to listen to our struggle don't bother to learn, but I'm glad you did that episode because it can change someone's mind about us. Thank you so much. That means a lot. The episode was kind of rough to put together just because it's reality. It's real. Again, obviously the story that we wrote is a fiction, but it's based on accounts of real life events, of things that people went through and go through. And so, yes, it was really hard. And if you do remember that episode, I did also mention that released a little bit after my birthday, a couple days after, and we ran a fundraiser with Doctors Without Borders. And I'm very excited to let you all know that we actually raised $300. The goal was $500. And if you remember, I said anything would be greatly appreciated and would mean a lot, but we raised $300 out of the $500 goal, which is amazing. And I'm so touched by everybody's generosity. And so I just wanted to go through and read everybody off who left their information. So a big, huge thank you. First and foremost to Uikeoror. Johnny and Eileen over at Uikeoror were our top donor with $100. Oh my God, you guys. As if I didn't love them already. Not that I need your money to love you, but come on. Like, mis amores, mis cariños, I love them so much. So they left that amazing donation. We also have Victoria, Miguel, Revan, and 3 anonymous donors. I wish you would have left your name so I could read it out as well, but I understand wanting to. I usually when I donate to GoFundMe's and stuff like that, I will do it anonymously if I remember to. So thank you so much to everybody for raising $300 with me for Doctors Without Borders, who do really important work all over the world, but also at the migrant checkpoint, I guess we can call it, outside of the Darien Gap, providing life-saving work. So even though this fundraiser is done, please consider donating to Doctors Without Borders because, again, they're doing amazing work all over the world, including at the exit of the Darien Gap. So again, thank you so much. It's so touching that we did that we pulled that off. So with that said, we will go ahead and move on into the episode on a high note. And this episode, as you can see by the title, is a resurrected episode. So I've done this twice before. I did this with the episode of La Llorona and the Girl Who Danced with the Devil. And basically, when I resurrect an episode, these are the earliest episodes, like the very first episodes. I think Duendes was number 3 that I did. And the reason I'm doing it is because it's been 6 years of doing this. And I feel, at least I feel, even though I am still growing and learning, that I have grown and learned a lot about putting these episodes together for you all. So I'm very excited to bring new skills, whether that be with production, editing, writing, to go ahead and resurrect the story of Duendes with you. So we're going to go ahead and get into that. So without further ado, please enjoy this resurrected episode of Duendes. Mateo had just turned 13 at the start of summer when his family moved. He was having a difficult time adjusting from his high-energy, bustling city life to a quiet and sluggish rural setting. He was alone in a new place, everyone he knew now hours away, and would remain that way until he could meet kids his own age when he started school in the fall. After spending all morning unpacking his things in his new room, Mateo decided to take a break and explore the family's new home. It was older and rustic compared to his family's apartment in the city. The floors creaked with nearly every step, and a strong enough gust of wind could shake the whole house. He eventually made his way outside. The cozy 4-bedroom sat isolated between a dirt road and a cornfield. The nearest neighbor was a 10-minute drive away. Mateo circled the house until he stood at the edge of their backyard, connected to a field. Early in the harvest season, the cornfield stood tall and inviting, providing shade and a break from the midsummer sun. He felt drawn to enter the field. Something other than the cool soil called to him there, but he couldn't quite place what it was. Deep in thought, and now a few feet into the field, he heard a sudden shuffling to his right. Mateo jumped to attention and spun around to nothing. Maybe the wind was playing tricks on him, rustling the corn stalks. Then he heard it again. This time he could see movement ahead. Certain it was a stray dog, he ran inside to grab leftovers and ran back outside, hopeful to make a new friend, but there was no sign of the dog. Or anything for that matter. Mateo loved animals and couldn't bear the idea of a hungry pup, so he ventured back into the field in search of a potential new pet. After an hour or two, he gave up on his search and devised a plan to leave a trail of food leading back to the house. Before he made his way back, something in the dirt caught his eye. It looked like a piece of pottery laying in the soil. With the sun setting, he decided he'd inspect it back home. That night, Mateo was woken up by the sound of something shattering in his room. He quickly turned the lights on and looked around for what broke, but there was nothing. The next day, after finishing unpacking his things, he remembered the piece of pottery he found. He searched his room high and low, and the rest of the house, but could not find it. His parents hadn't seen it either. After a trip to the supermarket, Mateo went back into his room with new batteries for his CD player, but he couldn't find his headphones. He was sure he left them on his bed, but now he was confused and frustrated. He settled for watching a movie in the living room, and his eyes quickly grew heavy. In a snap, he opened his eyes to darkness. It was the middle of the night. He realized he dozed off. As he was about to move to his bedroom, the television turned on, seemingly by itself, full volume. Startled and worried that he would wake his parents, he scrambled to shut it off. He sat silently for a moment, keeping an ear to the house to make sure he hadn't woken anyone up. After a minute or two, he started walking to his room again, when he heard something, a faint thudding, like something was moving in step with him. He took a few more steps and realized the sound was behind him. He ran to the nearest light switch in the kitchen. Just as he started to calm himself and think maybe he was still dreaming, he heard the pitter-patter again, like tiny footsteps. Panicked and paralyzed, he managed to slowly turn around. In the glow of the stovetop light, standing before him at knee level, Mateo wasn't sure what he was looking at. A small humanoid being. It flashed a menacing grin full of razor-sharp teeth and Mateo's headphones around its neck. Mateo panicked as this creature rushed towards him. The only other exit that wasn't blocked by that thing was the back door in the kitchen. He ran out of the house and into the darkness. He's not sure why he chose it, but felt like something was guiding him into the cornfield against all logic. He screamed for his parents, but his voice was muffled by the rattling of the corn stalks. He tripped and lost his sense of direction. All he could see now was the stalks and the dark sky. He heaved in the thick aroma of damp corn, trying to regain his composure. Then he could hear the stalks cracking, closer and closer, until he was finally face to face with the duende. Welcome back, Wolf friends. Okay, thank you so much for listening to that story. The first source that we have here is, of course, a good old Wikipedia link, and this is just a really quick rundown of what a duende is. And a very simple definition that it has here on Wikipedia is that a duende is a humanoid figure of folklore with variations from Iberian, Ibero-American, and Latin American cultures comparable to dwarves, gnomes, or leprechauns. So duendes definitely fall in the fae category, right? A lot of people compare them to gnomes or goblins or elves. Those are usually the big three that we hear, right? The etymology of the word duende is that in Spanish, duende originated as a contraction of the phrase dueño de casa, effectively master of the house, or alternatively derived from some similar mythical being of the Visigoth or Swabian culture, given its comparable looks with the tomte of the Swedish language, conceptualized as a mischievous spirit inhabiting a dwelling. They are fae also in the sense that they fall into the category of like wilderness or forest dweller or like wildlife protector. They're normally seen in the wild, right? Like surrounded by nature. However, a lot of people also say that they live in the walls of people's houses. I've heard other lore, this may come up in some of the other sources, I can't remember. One way to get rid of them is to lure them out with candy or shiny things or like gifts, basically. So you open your back door and you walk through the house. I've heard with like candy, like a handful of candy, walk through the house and then you throw it out the back door and you don't see them, but they run out the door chasing the candy and then you close the door behind that, right? So you give them the opportunity to exit with a gift. They're the opposite of a polite house guest. Instead of bringing a gift, they take something, right? And they're also known to hide things. That's how I grew up knowing what a duende was. Is it was always said that if something went missing or it was moved or misplaced, it was a duende messing with you because yes, they are mischievous little things. So yeah, every time I lose something, I'm like, damn it, there was a duende. I've also heard that saying the word duende, which I've now said about 100 times, summons them. So I just want to preface, I mean, it's too late to preface, but I want to say it now, lay down the boundary that, sorry, y'all are not welcome in here. There is a beautiful creek right outside our apartment. Go live there. There's plenty of stuff for you to have out there. Not in here. And we have Margaret. She will, I'm sorry, but I feel like Margaret could take a duende. She won't fall for their tricks and she's got razors on her hands. So, and if they mess with her, I will go after them. This continues. Spanish folklore is rich in tales and legends about various types of duendes. And then there's a bunch of names for how they're known here. And this says, like different names or comparable beings are anjanas, busgosos, diaños, enanos, elfos, hadas, gnomos, nuberus, tentirujus, trasgos or trasgus, trastolius, trentis, tronantes, ventolines, and others. In some regions of Spain, duendes may have other names, like it said earlier, trasnos and Galicia, foyets in Catalonia, irachoc in the Basque country and Navarra, trasgus in Asturias, menutos or mendos in Valle de Echo and in other parts of Alto Aragon, and menges south of Spain. So there's like all these different names for them, and this Wikipedia entry goes through them. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. There's like 15 different names for duendes that they go through here. So it's interesting that they kind of go by different names, and I'm sure it's the same creature. They're just, again, known by many names. The next link that I have here is the Tata Duende. This is just a specific one that I wanted to talk about because, again, there's all these different names for them, but this one says that the Tata Duende, or El Dueño del Monte, which is master of the monte, or the master of the forest, right, is a supernatural creature appearing in cultural folklore stories, mostly evident in Creole cultures. Tata Duende is considered a powerful spirit that protects animals and the jungle, though it is believed to lack thumbs. There are many stories that have been passed on from generation to generation to warn against this spirit. This creature has appeared on a postage stamp of Belize as a part of a series of Belizean folklore. The name Tata Duende comes from the Yucatec Maya word tata, meaning grandfather or old, and the word duende is Spanish for goblin. So an old goblin, right? This Spanish term duende originated as a contradiction of the phrase dueño de casa or duende casa, duende, possessor of a house, and was originally conceptualized again as a mischievous spirit inhabiting a house. It is said that if you encounter him in the forest, you must show your hands with the thumbs hidden or he will break them off. Yet he is regarded as a caring spirit. So basically they're jealous of thumbs. So don't let them see your thumbs. And if you're watching the video, I'm hiding my thumbs here, or he will break them off. I want to see this postage stamp really quick. Oh yes, I've seen these before. I remember. Yeah, it's a Christmas 1991 folklore stamp from Belize. Oh, this is on eBay. I kind of want it. It's not. Oh, damn it. It was sold. Okay. If anybody sees a duende, I'll put the picture up here so you can see it as well. This folklore Christmas 1991 duende postage stamp, please send me the link or buy it for me and send it to me. That is so cool. Okay, yeah, I need that for sure. Okay, moving on to the next source that I have here. This is actually a painting, and this painting comes up a lot when you search duendes. This is a painting called Caprichos Hobgoblins, or Duendecitos, from 1799 from one of my favorite artists, which is Francisco de Goya. This artist famously did the Saturn devouring his son painting, and he also has a ton of kind of like really macabre, creepy paintings that I'm very into because they're so cool. But here on this entry on nortonsimon.org from the Norton Simon Museum, this says, this image is a thinly veiled attack on the corruption and decadence of the Spanish church. The painting's up here, by the way, in this video. In this print, clergy are portrayed as grotesque hobgoblins or mean-spirited angels who fell from heaven with Lucifer. I'll also be posting this on social media. This continues, the central figure's sharp, jagged teeth and enormous hand refer to the powerful grip the church had on the country's wealth and its willingness to flaunt it. Now, when I read this made me think of everything that I've been told about duendes, which is that they like to steal or take things. And so I thought that this was really interesting because I wonder how long that characteristic has been attributed to duendes. And if it's gone all the way since this 1799, that's the attitude people had about the church, at least in this era and in this place, was that the church is just taking. They're just like duendes. They just come in and they steal and they take whatever they want, which is kind of funny, right? There's a second part to this painting that I wanted to talk about from a different source. This is from Fundación Goya en Aragon.es, which sounds like it's like the Goya Foundation in Aragon, but this is about the Duendecitos. I wanted to read the artistic analysis from this because I thought it was very interesting. It talks more about that in a little bit more detail. It says, 3 grotesque goblins dressed in monks' habits are holding glasses of wine. The one standing on the right of the print appears to belong to a barefoot order and, compared to the others, has a more taciturn and reserved attitude. The one in the center gesticulates, displaying an enormous monstrous hand that belies his small size, or belies, B-L-I-E-S, belies, you also know how to pronounce that, his small size. He laughs freely and reveals his battered, sharp teeth. The one on the left side of the print is sitting on the floor and appears to be deeply focused on the glass he holds in one of his hands. The scene takes place in a dark, vaulted space, perhaps a cellar. At the top of the room's far side, a barred window opens. Using fine aquatint, Goya creates midtones that contrast with the light filtering through the bars. The room is in semi-darkness, and the painter chose not to give priority to any of the three figures who are treated equally. The National Library manuscript describes this scene very well. Quote, "The true goblins of this world are the priests and friars who eat and drink at our expense. The church or the clergy has sharp teeth and a monstrous long right hand for grasping. The barefoot friar, more prudish, covers the glass of wine, but the shod friar doesn't mess around. He pours soup into wine and munches happily." So definitely like a hardcore critique of the church, which I think is valid and was extremely valid at that time. Like, the church had way more power then, which honestly, like, it still has too much power now, but whatever. That's a whole different conversation, I guess. So this is and this is why I like Goya as an artist, because of these critiques that he did that I'm sure were very, very controversial at the time, but that people were probably like glad somebody was pointing out, right? This continues. In the second half of the 18th century, the word duende was used to refer to friars. So it could be interpreted that with this print, the artist is resuming his criticism of the clergy who, in this case, are drinking the wine they earn from the town's tithe. And the tithe is what people pay to the church. So when you go and you give money, the collection basket, you're tithing. That is your tithe. The painter questions the usefulness of this class, its role in a society forced to maintain it no matter what. Yeah. And then this finishes up here. The deformed faces of the engraving's subjects are clearly reminiscent of the characters found in the print The Family of the Rustic Bertoldo, an anonymous work from the late 18th or early 19th century. In these cases, the heads are disproportionately large for the bodies, a deformation also evident in Duendecitos. So yeah, this is a really cool piece of artwork and commentary on the church and the church's power, which honestly I still think is relevant. Texas churches, whatever, I said it. The next source here, this is actually an episode that I've done on Susto since originally doing the Duendes episode, and this is about the children of the jungle, and there will be a link in the description of this episode as well. And this is the story of the children who survived a plane crash in the Amazon jungle and then survived, it was 40 nights in the jungle. Again, a group of children, I want to say it was 3 children, and the oldest one was like 12 or 13. But the reason that this is included here, and I talk about this in that episode as well, is because in this first paragraph from theguardian.com, and this is titled Indigenous Knowledge, Bravery, Vigilance, How Young Siblings Survived in Colombia's Perilous Jungle. This says, Fatima Valencia, the grandmother of the 4 children rescued on Friday after 40 days alone in the Colombian Amazon, had a simple explanation for why they had taken so long to be found. Despite a huge search effort, they were being carried through the jungle by a duende, a leprechaun-like mythological creature said to roam the forest. As more details emerge about the 4 children's incredible feat of survival, it has become clear that the ancestral knowledge of the eldest child played a vital role in keeping her younger siblings, including a baby who turned 1 during the ordeal, alive for 40 days. She was 13 years old. And the youngest child was a baby who wasn't even 1 when the crash happened, turned 1 within those 40 days. This says 13-year-old Leslie Mukutui was able to identify edible fruits, find suitable water, and avoid dangerous plants and animals, thanks in part to knowledge handed down to her by Valencia, the grandmother, which is terrifying. Like, this poor girl, she kept her siblings alive while keeping somehow her head on her shoulders throughout this whole thing, because there's so many dangerous things. Like, not only is the terrain itself dangerous, but the animals, the wildlife, if you eat or drink the wrong thing, you can get very sick, possibly die. Oh my God, it's wild how this happened. But there's a hyperlink in that article from redmas.co, and it says there's a goblin circling them, grandmother of the missing children in Caqueta. Maria Fatima Valencia says that a natural force has prevented miners from settling in one place. And this is translated from Spanish to English. So I'm reading this now for the first time, so hopefully it's translated well. But yeah, so this is saying how during the search, they had speakers, and as they were flying above the jungle and traversing through it, over the loudspeakers, they were calling to the children and telling them to not move, to stay where they were, to stop walking, to just stay put, and that they would be found. And so their grandmother she then went on in an interview and she said that, and this is in English, it says, at this point, it's not that the children are walking, it's that some of those wild animals or the duendes must be carrying them, which is why they're not sitting still. And so you could see this as the duende being mischievous and prolonging the children's rescue, or that the duende was moving them away from danger. And so yes, it did prolong their rescue or their like discovery or however you want to word that. But like, what could have happened had they stayed put in one spot? What would they have encountered? An animal, or like, I don't know. Like, again, it's just wild. And that from what I had read before on this story, the grandmother looked at it in a positive light, that she was like, the jungle returned our children to us, and that this is when they kept them alive. The next link that I have here, this is from owlcation.com. And this is 15 fascinating facts about El Duende, the legend of Latin America's mysterious goblin. We're going to read through these. It says, unraveling the mysteries behind El Duende. In Latin American folklore, El Duende is a mythical creature known for its mischievous behavior and ability to bring either good or bad luck to anyone it encounters. This folklore has captivated the imagination of countless people and children for generations, blending elements of good, evil, and mischief into one intriguing legend. Standing typically between 1 to 3 feet tall, these mysterious beings are said to inhabit homes, forests, and caves, playing roles that range from protective house spirits to malevolent tricksters. Okay, so if the duendes are protecting the house, they're welcome. But I don't want any tricks in here. Margaret already does enough tricks. This continues with origins dating back to pre-Columbian times and later influenced by Spanish colonization. El Duende continues to fascinate audiences across Latin America and beyond. Let's take a closer look at this enigmatic feature. And then, of course, the 15 legends, or the 15 facts. It says, number 1, origins in Spanish and indigenous folklore. The word duende comes from the Spanish phrase dueño de casa. Again, we know that part, owner of the house, reflecting their traditional role as house spirits. However, the legend also intertwines with indigenous beliefs, incorporating elements of nature, spirits, and guardian entities. 2, varied appearances across regions. El Duende's appearance varies widely. In Guatemala, they wear large hats and red clothing, while in Mexico, they're depicted as small, elderly men with white beards. Some versions describe them with backward-facing feet to confuse trackers. So much like La Ciguapa, which we've also done on the show, she has those backwards facing feet, and you can never really tell where she's going, where she's been, because of those tracks. Number 3, from protector to trickster. Originally considered household protectors in indigenous traditions, El Duende's image shifted during Spanish colonization, merging with European goblin folklore to become more ambiguous, often helpful, sometimes malevolent. It's interesting that with colonialism, it took on negative characteristics, whereas before they were seen as household protectors or like protectors of wildlife and animals. But then the Spaniards come in and then it's like, oh no, it's an evil little thing. It's all evil, right? Anyway, number 4, guardian against evil. In some regions, El Duende is invoked for protection against evil forces. Respectful offerings are said to earn its favor and bring good fortune. Again, so things like the candy, maybe if you're luring it out of the house, you're saying you can stay on the property, not in my walls, but on the property and protect it. And here's your candy, right? It's interesting that it is actually invoked, because everything that I've heard before is people are trying whatever they can to keep them away, right? Number 5, malevolent prankster. Conversely, other tales paint El Duende as a chaotic trickster who delights in leading travelers astray, hiding objects, or even abducting children. So these are the things that I heard more often growing up, was that really not the leading travelers astray. I heard more of that as I started doing Susto, but the thing about hiding things, moving things, and abducting children, that was more commonly what I heard growing up. And what I've heard other people have also been told, right? Shape-shifting abilities. This one is not very common to me, at least. One of El Duende's most feared traits is its ability to transform its appearance, allowing it to evade detection or lure unsuspecting victims. Interesting. So that's how it lures people into wilderness or wherever it's taking them, by transforming into someone or something that they would seemingly trust, right? 7, connection to nature. In some traditions, El Duende serves as a guardian of forests, rivers, and mountains, punishing those who disrespect nature. Again, that one's very common to hear. 8, fascination with children. El Duende is particularly drawn to children. Some legends say they teach music to gifted youths, while others warn they lure them away from home. So it's like, duendes are they're people, humans. I don't know. They're humanoids. They have personalities. They have moods, I guess, and depending on those moods is what they do. Right. 9, backward-footed trickery. Again, this one's a repeat. It says many stories describe a duende with backwards facing feet, a feature meant to deceive those who try to follow its tracks. 10, colonial influence on the legend. Spanish colonizers reshaped indigenous beliefs. We mentioned this one already, blending them with European folklore to create the modern, multifaceted El Duende. 11, symbol of resilience. El Duende represents adaptability, embodying the survival of cultural traditions after colonization and change. 12, artistic and cultural impact. The legend has inspired countless artworks like Goya's Duendecitos, literature, and even modern media, cementing its place in Latin American identity. 13, role in spiritual practices. Some communities invoke El Duende in rituals for protection or guidance, merging folklore with spiritual traditions. Again, sorry to whoever wrote this, but lots of repeats happening here. 14, tells of redemption. Me, right? Because I'm a perfect writer. Anyway, 14, tells of redemption. Certain stories depict El Duende evolving from a trickster into a benevolent figure, highlighting its complex morality. That one's a repeat, sorry. 15, enduring mystery. Despite centuries of storytelling, El Duende remains an enigmatic figure, and its legends evolve with each generation. That could have been 10 facts about El Duende. I'm just saying. I don't know. I'm just saying. Sorry. And moving on to the last source. This is from en-academic.com, or academic dictionaries and encyclopedias. I was really interested in this picture that's on here, and I'll put this up here in the video. It says, purported duende on classical period Maya pottery. This was in a cave in Belize. And this is why I included that small detail about a piece of pottery in the story. I just wanted to read this entry. It says, a duende is a fairy or goblin-like mythological creature from Iberian, Latin American, and Filipino folklore. So Filipinos also have their own version of it, which, again, I think I've spoken about this, wanting to cover more Filipino folklore, because different lands, same colonizers, right? Those are my primos, my primes. So I don't know. You all let me know what you think about me dipping my claws into the Filipino folklore, because there are some really cool legends over there as well. This continues, while its nature varies throughout Spain, Portugal, Spanish and Portuguese speaking America, and the Philippines, analogs from other cultures include the Danish-Norwegian Nisse, the French Lutin and Nain Rouge, the Irish Clirichon, Leprechaun, and Fardaring, the Manx Fenadiri and Moinger Veggie. I'm sorry, I don't know these words. The Scottish/English Brownie, the Welsh Twylith Teg, and the Swedish Tomte. So all over the world. Duendes all over the world. The duende is for real, Mr. Worldwide, Mr. 305. Dale. The etymology, let me zoom in on this because it's tiny text. The etymology of the word duende reinforces the equivalence to the latter, tomte, from tomt equals home. And that's from Sweden, tomte, as it shares the same origin as the Spanish word dueño, or owner. As Federico Garcia Lorca uses the term, it seems closer to a fairy as a realm of being. Duendes may also have some traits similar to goblins and kobolds. So again, in that realm of fae, right? The word is often considered to be the Spanish equivalent of the English word sprite or the Japanese word yokai, and is used as an umbrella term for any fairy-like beings such as goblins, pixies, and elves. I don't know, I've only really seen duende being used for a very specific type of entity. It's always as this little humanoid being. It's not as like a flying pixie or fairy or like even elves. So I don't know, it's interesting that it's putting that on it here. Anyway, this continues. The word is also used in Portuguese folklore, being used to describe goblins, pixies, brownies, and leprechauns. They are believed to be of a small stature, wearing big hats, whistling a mystical song. The whistling, there's always whistling, right? While walking in the forest. Using their talent, they are believed to lure young girls to the forest, causing them to lose their way home. Conversely, in some Latin cultures, the duendes are believed to be the helpers of people who get lost in the forest so they could find their way home, like the children of the jungle. In the folklore of the Central American country of Belize, particularly amongst the country's African/Carib descended Creole and Garifuna populations, duende are thought of as a forest spirit called Tata Duende who lacks thumbs. Again, and hide your thumbs, because if the Tata Duende sees them, snap, like weapons. He's gonna break your thumbs off. In Hispanic, which also I loved that movie. Go watch it if you haven't seen it. Gladys is kind of an icon, even though she's evil. This continues. In Hispanic folklore of of Mexico and the American Southwest, duendes are known as gnome-like creatures who live inside the walls of homes, especially in the bedroom walls of young children. Oh, I don't like the way that sounds. I'm gonna rip my horns off. I hated that. Ugh. They attempt to. Oh, this part is freaky. I never heard this growing up, and this is why my feet are covered. It's not because I think something's gonna grab them from under the. Well, I guess technically yes, but it's not what you think is gonna grab your feet. It's the duendes, because they attempt to clip the toenails of unkempt children, often leading to the mistaken removal of entire toes. Y'all, get your pedicures or the duendes will steal your toes. If your toes are looking crunchy and nasty, they're doing you a favor and chopping them off. This continues. They're also known for taking items from young children. They have also been able to barter with the mother of young children so that they can take the child and have them to eat. Imagine your parent making a deal with the duende. Don't worry about the deal with the devil. They're making a deal with the duende to be like, what can I give you so I can have your kid for dinner? My mom probably would have just given me away for free. She'd be like, take him, please. This continues. They appear at night when children are at play with a ball and watch the children, and later make their appearance and confront the children. I don't know if it's specifically of kids playing with the ball. Maybe this is just an example, but yeah, they watch children playing and then they later try and take them out or get their toes. I don't know. It says Chamorro people believe in tales of tautamonas, duendes, and other spirits. Duende, according to the Chamorro English Dictionary by Donald Topping, Pedro Ogo, and Bernadita Dongka, is a goblin, elf, ghost, or spook in the form of a dwarf, a mischievous spirit which hides or takes small children. I feel like that's trying to be like, that's just saying like, okay, anything spooky is a duende. I feel like there's too much reach going on there. I don't know. This wraps up and it says Filipinos also believe in duende, which is spelled with a W. So instead of Duende, it's Dwende, which frequently live in rocks and caves, old trees, unvisited and dark parts of houses, or in anthills, where they are called Nuno Sapunso, or Old Man of the Mound. Did I say that okay? Nuno Sapunso. Nuno Sapunso. I don't know. They are either categorized as good or evil depending on their color, white or black respectively, and often play with children. So that's kind of like, God, what was this, or which episode was it? I did an episode on this dog, or these type of dogs. They're like hellhounds, and they say depending on the color of the dog, it's not lobison. Lobison's like the werewolf. What was it? Okay, you all let me know in a comment or something what it was. But yeah, the idea of the colors representing good and evil is an interesting attribute to the duendes. But that's all for the sources. Welcome back, Wolf friends. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode, to this resurrection of an episode on duendes. As always, if you have your own scary story that you would like for me to read on a Letters from the Beyond episode, or something that you would like me to share on social media, like a photo, video, audio recording, anything like that, you can do so by submitting it on my link tree. That's linktr.ee/Susto. There's a submit a story button, or tell me a story button on there, or on my website, sustopodcast.com. There's a submit a story button on there as well, and it'll take you to the Google form where you can fill it in and leave as much or as little as you would like. I would also like to, at the end of the episodes now, share some gratitude for those of you who leave reviews, because as I always say, ratings and reviews are the easiest way to support the show, and it's free. So reviews like this one from Laura142. Laura said, just found this show and binging it. Thank you. I do have a little story to share. So this one's a really quick story. It says, a couple years ago, my husband's cousin passed away in El Salvador. Very sorry to your husband. He had been asking to speak and see my husband since they were close, but my husband couldn't make the trip to go see him. So later that night around 3 a.m., we were sound asleep and were woken up by 3 hard knocks on our bedroom window. Oh, that gave me chills. I'm recording this at night, so I'm like on edge. It says, it woke both of us up at the same time, asking each other if we heard that. That's kind of the worst, when you hear something and you think, no, that couldn't have been me. And then you look over at whoever you're with and they ask you, did you hear that? Or did you see that? Oh, that's happened to me, I think, a couple times, and makes my skin crawl. Anyway, this continues. We looked out the window, didn't see anything. We went back to sleep, and that morning we got the call that he had passed away. We think it was him who came to say goodbye to my husband. That's so sweet. Laura, thank you so much for leaving that 5-star review. And again, let me just remind you all, leaving a comment on Spotify or leaving a positive or rating review wherever you are listening is the easiest way to support the show, and it's free. However, if you would like to, you can also support Susto Susto by joining our Patreon for $3 or more a month at patreon.com/Susto podcast. And as a Patreon subscriber, you get early and ad-free episodes, you get ad-free vlogs from YouTube, you get exclusive bonus content and more. And I want to give a special thank you to this episode's patrons, and you are Liza, Rachel, Alejandra, Luther, April, D, Josette, Sam, Mandy, Jules, Lori, Jeannie, Desiree C, Neressa, Rachel A, Azucena, Marlene, Chata, Lainey, Desiree, Carla, Ricardo, Vanessa, Marisa, Nieves, Manormal, Iris M, Mar, Flor, Selena, Nightingale, Clint, Rachel W. Thank you all so much for your support. It truly means the world to me. I will see you on Patreon. I will see you on YouTube. I will see you at the book club. I will see you at events. I'll talk to you in the next episode. And until then, no te asustes. Bye.